The display list model contains core classes, all revolving around the display object class and its various subclasses. Each one of the core classes is designed to serve a specific purpose, so let me review the more important ones in this movie. Now, we've already encountered some of the display classes that I'll be talking about here. Starting off with the display object, the base class of all the display list classes is the display object. It defines properties and methods common to all display classes. The display object class is not meant to be instantiated directly. Next is the bitmap class. It allows for the creation and manipulation of images via the bitmap data method. The shape class contains a graphics property that allows for drawing using lines, fills, circles, and rectangles. Actually, it's the one that you're using when you use the various drawing tools in the Flash Tools panel. Next, you have the sprite class. Sprites are similar to shapes but can contain child display objects such as text and video. A sprite can be thought of as a movie clip without a timeline. Next, we have the movie clip class. You're probably familiar with this one. This has a timeline and methods for controlling the playhead. But because movie clip is actually a subclass of the sprite class, you can draw inside of it, and it can contain child display objects as well. The video class is next. This one lives in the Flash media package, but it's also a subclass of the display object. Video instances are used to play back video. The text field class, found in the Flash text package, allows the creation of dynamic and input text fields as well as regular text fields. And then lastly, we have the loader class. Loader instances are used to load in external visual assets such as other SWF movies or image files. We've already seen this loader class in detail in the previous section of this tutorial. Since so much of ActionScript programming involves creating and manipulating visual elements, there are a number of tasks that we need to cover here related to this display work. So let me now give you an overview of what I'll be covering here. This section of the tutorial describes common tasks that apply to all display objects, including working with display list and display object containers, which include adding display objects to the display list, removing objects from the display list, moving objects in front of or behind other objects, and then loading external display content as I've demonstrated previously, such as loading SWF files or JPEG images. Also working with the stage, handling display object events, positioning display objects, resizing, scaling, rotating, and otherwise manipulating display objects, applying blending modes, color transformations, and transparency to display objects, masking display objects, animating display objects, including working with tweens using ActionScript. Now, some of these tasks are so fundamental that we've already run across them in earlier scripts, such as loading external display content and positioning them on the stage. Later movies will describe additional tasks for working with display objects, including drawing vector graphics, applying geometric transformations, working with text field objects, and working with video elements. Let me now define some important terms that I'll be using throughout this section of the tutorial. Starting with alpha, this is the color value representing the amount of transparency, or more correctly, the amount of opacity in a color. Bitmap graphic is a graphic that's defined in a computer as a grid of colored pixels. Commonly, bitmap graphics include digital photos and similar images like from Photoshop. Blending mode is a specification of how the contents of two overlapping images should interact. Commonly, an opaque image on top of another image simply blocks the image underneath it so that it isn't visible at all. However, different blending modes cause the colors of these formerly opaque images to blend together in different ways to result in content that's similar to a combination of the two images. Another term I'll use is the main class of the SWF file. This is the class that defines the behavior for the outermost display object in an SWF file. This conceptually is the class for the SWF file itself. Masking is a technique of hiding from view certain parts of an image, or conversely, only allowing certain parts of an image to display or show through. The portions of the masked image become transparent, so content underneath shows through. This term is related to a painter's masking tape that is used to prevent paint from being applied to certain areas. The stage is going to mean the visual container that is the base or background of all the visual content in an SWF file. A transformation refers to an adjustment to a visual characteristic of a graphic, such as rotating the object, altering its scale, skewing or distorting its shape, or altering its color. A vector graphic is a graphic that is defined in the computer as lines and shapes drawn with particular characteristics such as thickness, length, size, angle, and position. Let's now move on to the next movie so I can demonstrate the most basic manipulation you can do to any display object, and that is changing its position.